Welcome, all you surfing enthusiasts, to SoCal Surf with Dan Nappy. Today, Huntington Bech Pier was perfect, with the exclusion of maybe too many people, but for the first, I'd say 15 to 20 minutes, I caught 3 or 4 good waves right next to the pier, but it didn't take long for people to see that, and they all moved over, so it got crowded fast. But I was able to get quite a few right next to the pier on the north side, and which is perfect for me because you can, if you take a right, you can go right into the pier, and then you can paddle out alongside the pier without getting your hair wet. So for the first 4 waves, I literally did not even get my hair wet. So that went really well. And then as it got a little crowded, I just drifted north and just kept going north until it started to thin out again. And then that was really good. It was about head-high, glassy conditions, no wind. There was no sun, but the water was warm, and so it was really pleasant. As the crowd thinned, I was able to get a few more waves, and from last couple of days they've all been lefts, but today there were some rights, and so I got some really good rights and some awesome bottom turns, and then come off the top, which for me, as you come off the top, you're looking down at the waves, so you're kind of almost horizontal. So the board's out, to one side, and you're looking down, that board comes around, and it's taken me about a month on this board, and it's finally starting to feel like I know what I'm doing on it. So I tried some maneuvers that I used to do on the smaller board that I could not do on the 7-footer, and it starts to start happening now. So I'm really liking the size of this one. It's a 6'6", same as my 7-footer, Rockin' Fig, but it's got just a little less foam than my 7-footer, and shorter, of course, which helps me get duck diving under the waves better. But it was a little slow, but like I said, after about a month of this, I'm finally feeling like that board is underneath me and doing what I want it to do. So I'm starting to feel confident, and then I started thinking I don't want to be too overconfident because that's when I crash. So I took off on a lot of waves that I thought were, marginal as far as how I was going to get down the face of it. But took off a lot rights and lefts. So I just, got so many waves today, I lost count. Usually I can count how many waves I get at Huntington. But today there was lows, there was some, good for paddling out when there's not a lot of waves coming at you, especially when you're away from the pier. But then there'd be some sets that are rolling one after the other, so you could always get a wave. I only had to get off a couple that were already occupied. And then I was just happened to be paddling south again to try to get next to the south end of the condos. And just then a wave came right to me, and I took off on it, and it was a little bit late, and so I dropped in really hard, came off the bottom really hard, and just did my usual hard bottom turn because I had some real good speed at that point. Came off that bottom turn really hard, and the lip was starting to crash, starting to turn white, so I just leaned back and let it hit the bottom of the board, and I thought for sure I was going to go flying. But the board and me stayed together. It felt like I was airborne. I'm sure I wasn't. But as I came off the top, the wave hit the bottom of the board, bam, and it pushed me out towards the front of the wave, and I landed right on the face of the wave, nice and smooth. So it looked like I planned it, but in reality, it was survival. So I came off that really, really nice. Hit the wave on the slope, on the face of it, and then did another bottom turn. And then it was getting a little, tide was starting to come in, so it started to fizzle at that point. There's a dead zone when the tide starts coming up, and that's when it started to fizzle. So I tried to pull back in, but I can see it wasn't enough wave left. So I just pulled back and sank and grabbed it and went back out. So that was probably my best wave as far as adrenaline. And then the rest were just good turns and just a lot of good rides. They would only last 2 to 3 turns, and then it would get into the dead zone and then not be able to have enough wave to push you in. So that went really well. Then there was some good wipeouts. Luckily, they weren't mine. It was Craig. I saw him get wiped out a couple of times. One, he was taken off late, and he just got launched off the lip straight down, a free fall straight down. Just saw him looking straight down at the wave, went right under, and then the wave came over him and just tumbled him. That one was spectacular because I was in a good spot to see it. And then another one he took off again late, And that big board is not very quick and responsive as some of the smaller boards. It's a good big advantage because he can catch more waves with that, as far as catch them sooner when they're not quite turning white. And so, but he took off too late for that board and couldn't get up soon enough. And again, he went over the falls, but this time I was behind the wave, and all I could see was the board going flying up into the air. And then it kind of went forward into the wave again, and then drug him further in towards the sand for about, for me it was a second and a half, but for him it probably seemed like an hour under there just pulling him. And he finally came up, and I had to give him a thumbs up on that one. That was a good crash. So some good wipeouts, and again, luckily they weren't mine. And so had a really good day, glassy conditions, smooth water, warm water, no sun at first, came out a little bit later, about 8:30. But it wasn't unpleasant at all. Just came in I took my, we all came in at about 9. We got there about 6:15, 6:30. We got out about 8:30, closer to 9. Well, between 8:30 and 9, I can't remember exactly. But then as I came in, you have to watch the shore break, because that shore break was pretty snazzy today. Yesterday I was able to connect the outside with the inside and got a really good ride in the shore break, and had to duck under to get out of it because it would have thrown me on the sand. But today I just came in pretty easy. The current wasn't as bad as yesterday. So I just walked up and I saw these two people looking around like they didn't know what they were doing, and I watched them for a minute. And I was also looking out into the water to see if Craig and Christian had got a wave in yet, because we were leaving, and Christian came out first and then Craig came out second. And then as I was walking, they looked like they wanted to talk to me, the two people that were just there. So I asked them, I says, "Where are you from?" Because they really looked like tourists. And they said they're from Norway. And I says, "Oh, okay, don't go out here." But they had been surfing up in Malibu and stuff, and I told them that here's better, stronger waves, less people, spread out more. And so, but they were wanting to know about the surf, and so I told them to go towards the pier, right alongside the pier, and paddle out on the north side. It's a lot easier. And they asked about the current and different things, and I gave them some pointers and told them kind of what the place is like, and told them to watch out for the shore break. It looks friendly, but it's not. And so I sent them on their way, and they walked towards the pier, and that's the last I saw them. But it was interesting to see them. Well, that's it for today. The U.S. Open is coming. They're already building the city. It's getting pretty much done. So we are looking at probably some pros in the water here next week. So I'm going to have to move down the beach even further. Not that I don't like surfing with them. It's just that they're really good, and it's hard to out paddle them, and it's hard to out position them, and there's just too many of them. So we'll see what happens. Surf's up. See you out there. Check out our sponsors, Task Bullet. Who's the other one? Task Bullet. Gosh, my mind is still full of adrenaline. I can't even talk. NappyClothing.com and Swing Easy Hammocks. Thanks so much for listening. See you in the water. Thank you. Bye.